So let's talk about this OKC versus Warriors game. I was watching the game, and honestly, I just want to say this. Shout out to OKC. They've got, Golden State's number. They've beaten them now multiple times. And honestly, it just seems like every single time I'm watching OKC versus the Warriors, it seems like OKC is always putting together some sort of great game to go against them. I like this because I feel like it is a good thing for the league, especially to have these types of games. These are two of the most entertaining teams which we have by far. And I can tell you that as a fan, and I can tell you that as a guy who commentates, well, not commentates, but watches the game a lot. Like, those two teams are just completely positive, when it comes to entertainment. They both play a very entertaining style of play. They have the stars, they have the business, they have the coaching, they have the backup guys which can get it done, and they have just a mix of a bunch of great pieces which can all come together to make some entertaining basketball. With this being said, this team is also one of the best, right? Both of these teams are some of the best at erasing leads. They're teams which score a lot of points and are accustomed to being down 20 and coming back up, being up 15 and losing the lead. And because of this, every single time that they play, there's normally a huge lead change which comes from one of the teams, which makes these games way more fun than they are. Golden State and OKC faced each other, and at the start, Golden State was going absolutely ballistic with Klay Thompson looking like his old form, Steph Curry hitting basically everything. And then by the time that the game got serious, OKC just picked it back up. Jalen Williams in the fourth looked like God himself. Chet Holmgren made his clutch free throws. And honestly, this game just consisted of a lot of, offense and defense, which was based upon not scoring the ball for the other team. The problem was that both of these teams were on fire. And the biggest thing for me was Klay Thompson this game. Klay Thompson this game, if you didn't see, looked like his previous self. Something that Klay Thompson this year, the reason why he has been so bad is because he hasn't been driving to the rim. And if you don't know, the reason why Klay Thompson before got so many open threes, right, was because he would drive so hard to the rim, sometimes where he would just try to go in. And even if he was able to do it or not, it was good because it would cause teams to have to worry about the threat of him being able to just go, and drive to the paint, which made him always a threat. In this game, he had 22 points on great efficiency, and honestly, let's be real. When we look at both of these teams, there is something to be said about like the way that they played. Steph was extremely clutch this game, and if we're being honest, even when we see these two teams go off against each other, the biggest thing for me was that like Steph can't play defense. And I'm saying this right now because the OKC Thunder were hunting him. There were multiple possessions in the fourth quarter where it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander bucket, Then after Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was Jay Williams bucket. And all these buckets came at the expense that Steph Curry was the one who was playing the defense. I'm not saying that obviously he isn't a great player. He is. And he is an amazing player, right? But when it comes to, being able to get put on the floor, if in crunch time or in a fourth quarter, teams are abusing you and your weaknesses for a lead, this is not football. This is not American football. You can't just go in and have an offensive line and a defensive line. You have to have some type of consistency on both ends, and that's what makes basketball so difficult. Shai dropped 38 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He was absolutely cooking this game. He was just getting everything he wanted, mid-ranges, layups, drives to the rim. and he was basically just, feasting on this Golden State defense. I want to say Steph Curry and Draymond played really well. Draymond had 13 assists, and he was just diming up the entire game. Kuminga played amazingly, and especially in that fourth quarter. And the Golden State Warriors played great. They played really great. They shot 47% from the field, basically 40% from three, right? And they shot 83% from the free throw line. Statistically, the Thunder shot worse. They had 52% from the field, 17% from three, and 86% from the free throw line. So basically, the only thing that happened with the Thunder was the fact that they couldn't hit their threes. But in everything else, they were perfect. So the thing is with this game is that I just don't see what the Warriors are doing. What are the Warriors doing? They lose too many games. They don't, get better. And even when their stars have the games which they need them to have, and I mean that, when Curry has all these points, when Klay actually turns into Klay Thompson, and when a guy like Kuminga steps up and Draymond has 13 assists, right? And we're still not seeing winning basketball against another team which honestly underperformed from the three-point line. All we have to do is wonder, what is happening to Golden State? Golden State just lost to the OKC Thunder, and all of their stars played amazingly. Klay, Draymond, Steph, all of them played amazingly, but they didn't win. And the reason why was because Golden State has an issue. They have problems based on the way that they play and how much offense that they can generate. I understand they are a great team. And they are one of the teams which hold themselves to the highest standard. But when you have these types of games where you can't even see and where you can't even, try to make something happen in the clutch because you can't trust anybody that's not named Steph Curry, it's pretty sad for a team which was on top a year ago. The Warriors were on top a year ago, and I'm not saying that to say that it's Steph's fault or it's anyone's fault, but the Warriors have this problem. It's when you can't get your stars to play, when your stars play well and you still can't win, when you have bigger locker room problems of the fact that you brought in a guy and none of your team likes him, even though he's contributing to your team. And when you have young guys who are ready to get minutes, but you don't have enough time because you want to play the old vets, it causes problems. Let's face it. We don't like teams which all they do is they run the same offense every time. We don't like teams which get into their same actions and don't win. And really, success comes from winning. And winning is the ultimate goal in basketball. And when that's your ultimate goal, and you build a team around Steph, around Klay, around Draymond to hopefully try to do this, and they can't even beat a team when they're in a hot streak, right? Like this game against OKC, they were doing great. When you can't even beat this team, when you're having one of the best games that you've had in a while, where all your stars are stepping up, where everyone does exactly what they're supposed to do, and you still can't win, then what is the point? Is this team actually working? Is this system actually working? And that's what I've seen with the Warriors. I'm just wow. The Warriors are great. They know what they're doing, but there is sometimes where you have to think about just are you really thinking about what you're doing? Because if you would actually be thinking about what you're doing, then I don't think that you would have this roster out there without making a big change right now. In my opinion, in the trade deadline, they should try to make some move. It's obvious that you don't need CP3. You've had and won championships without that guard depth, and that one young guard that you guys have is enough, in my opinion. Just go get a big center or something like that. But yeah, honestly, I'm just trying to see what happens with Golden State because it's concerning what's happening with them right now.